This is Capital Games Movie Club. I am the Wiz.
And I am Kim Shackman.
Kimmy, how you doing today?
I'm doing. How are you?
Well, that's not an answer. I'm doing all right, I guess. You're doing. God.
I mean, it's been raining for like 5 days straight here. So.
Oh, yeah. Same here in Jersey, actually. It was raining for a few days in last week, and I guess that pushed up to you guys up there in the
New
colonial
Hampshire.
countries. Yeah. Right.
In the mountains.
Yes. Enough about the weather. Well, we are reviewing the movie The Big Lebowski, starring Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and John Turturro, and Julianne Moore, directed by the Coen Brothers, Joel and Ethan Coen. Kim, you've known me for a long time, so you probably know what my favorite movie of all time is, correct? Whatever, it's fine. You probably don't. That's fine. Okay. That worked out well.
I feel like I do, but I don't.
Okay. My favorite movie of all time is Fargo, and it's a movie from...
Oh, yes, you did tell me that.
Okay.
Fargo,
You know, it's bad that it was presumptuous of me to say, yeah, you like me so much you remember inane details about me, right, Kim? Like, yeah, sure.
Christ, put me on the spot. I'm like, oh, shit, what's his favorite movie?
So, Fargo is one of my favorite movies of all time. When I saw Fargo, I fell in love with it. And then in 98, they started having advertisements for their new movie, which was The Big Lebowski. And it was wildly different from what Fargo was. Fargo was a serious but sort of comic crime movie, whereas this is a crime movie as well, but is much less serious. In fact, it's not serious.
It's not serious at all.
No, it's not. Even though it was a lot different from what I knew of the Coen Brothers at the time, I was still excited to see it. So when I saw it in theaters, I didn't like it so much. I was like, that kind of sucked. But what's interesting about The Big Lebowski is that I'm an outlier. A lot of people love this movie.
Yeah.
And it's considered one of the Coen Brothers' best movies. You have experience with that. Your husband seems to love this movie. He's obsessed. Oh my God.
He loves it. He goes, should I get on and do the review? I'm like, no, you're not allowed to do this review. I was like, you'll fight with the Wiz. Like, no.
Yeah, you don't want the first time that we talk to be like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Although, well, he loves the Coen Brothers too. Like,
does he?
Yeah, he told me that. He said that was he's like, oh, you're doing a Coen Brothers review? Like, movie review? I was like, yeah. I'm like, who the hell's that? You can see I'm not as versed in film as most are, but then I started like No Country for Old Men. Like, I love that movie. That's a good movie.
Okay. The last movie that I watched of theirs is also, I think, the last movie they've done together is Inside Llewyn Davis, which was an amazing movie.
Ooh, I haven't seen that yet.
It might be. I debate this with myself. I might like it a little more than Fargo, but I will still say Fargo is my favorite movie. But Inside Llewyn Davis is an amazing movie. Down to that, let's just get to the review of The Big Lebowski, directed by the Coen Brothers. I'm gonna say right off the bat, I haven't said anything funny yet. Come on, let's calm down.
Sorry.
Did you have gummies before this?
No,
Okay.
I didn't have adult candy.
Okay. I said when I watched this the last time, which again was in 98 in the theaters when I was 15. I've seen it, bits and pieces of it after that too, but actually sitting down and watching the movie, I was 15 when I last watched it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I didn't like it. Of course,
Which I think is kind of interesting because I feel like when you're 15, this movie would seem like a riot. Like, people would think it's really funny when you're 15.
Well,
but you're like Mr. Film Buff, so you're just like very much critiquing it, whereas everybody else is just thoroughly enjoying
the other person. Okay, the other person I was with who is also considered a sort of film buff at the time. Loved the film. The film. He really liked it.
Interesting.
And he would evangelize this movie too. He'd be like, "Oh, you gotta see The Big Lebowski. Oh my God, it's so funny. Oh my God, it's this. Oh my God, it's that." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, sure." A lot of film people who are really into film, also love this movie. So when I got out of it, went, it kind of sucked actually. Like. But then again, I will also state stoner movies, movies that people say, oh, you have to be under the influence to actually really enjoy and get it.
This is 110% a stoner movie. 110%.
Right. Another movie that I get reminded of, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I've never seen that movie,
Okay.
and everybody tells me to watch it.
I also did not like that movie, but again, because I don't imbibe.
You don't partake.
I don't partake. I guess that could be the reason why I just don't connect and don't like those movies, but I will give that movie, again, another shot, because I do like Terry Gilliam. But I'm going to say this, though. After watching it this morning, I went from not liking it to tacitly enjoying it. And
Okay,
but
so why?
after watching a whole bunch of Coen Brother movies, I've seen a lot of them now. The absurdist humor that is laced in all even their serious films, except for like No Country for Old Men, all the absurdist tones that are in the movie are just ratcheted up to like 12 in this movie, which I can kind of appreciate. Even though I think some of the other lesser-known comedies that the Coen Brothers have done, I think do it a lot better. I did end up enjoying this movie a little bit more than I did in the past, but I will say I prefer the Coen Brothers when they have a serious movie, but it's laced with dark humor throughout. Like Fargo is perfect with that. So is Inside Llewyn Davis. So is A Serious Man. Like those movies, I think, are really well done because they blend the serious nature of the movie with those little bits of comedy that just fit so well. With exception, though, I think Raising Arizona is a good movie. I've always liked Raising Arizona.
I feel like I've seen that, and I can't remember it. Or maybe I haven't seen it. I can't remember.
Nicolas Cage, The Steal a Baby.
Yeah, I think I have seen that.
Okay. It might have been a while. It's from the 80s. Although I did enjoy it, I found myself just having a good time with it. I'm not going to 180 and go, oh, it's a great movie. I think the criticisms that people have of it and that I haven't before, I think are still valid. But I did end up enjoying it. Let's go with you. What did you think?
So I will be very transparent with my audience and with you because it doesn't bother me to be that way. The first half of the movie, I was watching it and I was stone cold sober and I was bored out of my mind. I was just like, and again, and my husband's watching it with me, who is obsessed.
Oh,
and I look at him and I say, "Do you really think this is funny?" And he says, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then I got up and I went to the refrigerator and I grabbed myself some adult candy. And then I watched the second half of the movie. And then I was like, okay, now I can understand how this is funny. So that is basically my overview of the movie.
So it's situational. It's what it's like when people say, oh, it's a great movie if you watch it in 3D. Or my favorite of one of the when we did the review of Clerks 3 of someone who said, oh, Clerks 3 is a great movie if you saw it with a packed theater of people who love Kevin Smith, with Kevin Smith in the audience, where everyone's crying because everyone loves Kevin Smith and Kevin Smith does a Q&A. Like, it's a situational movie, which I say, personally, when people say that, goes, if I need a complete situation in order to enjoy the movie, that's not a good movie. Like, that's really not.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, you have to put yourself into a situation where it can be enjoyable, so I agree with you there.
Yeah. So for you, it didn't really click at all. Which
I was really bored, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen this whole movie, and then I was like, oh, now I remember why I haven't seen this whole movie, because the last time I started watching it too, I remember now I was bored and I had to like shut it off because I was like bored, like this is boring.
Okay, let me understand my husband a little better. What the hell is wrong with him?
Yeah, I was
Why?
like, really? And he's like, oh, this is like the best movie ever.
Did I make a mistake?
Like, there's some like, humor in it, but overall I'm kind of like, eh.
Okay, so let's get into performances before we get into the nitty gritty here.
Okay.
Jeff Bridges does play the dude very well. I mean,
I think he does. Like,
yeah.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
Like he plays a pretty good stoner dude. I was like,
considering the other performances he's done, which, they're kind of weird, but there are some that are pretty serious. He's a very versatile actor, but he does play this character very well. I also like John Goodman in this. John Goodman plays Walter really well as well, even though I find Walter to be
obnoxious.
Well, that's his character, but with that character, you want him to, you kind of want him to be somewhat charming and funny, and I did not find him to be either.
No.
Especially with how abusive he is to Donnie. It's just like,
Is he like, he just like is constantly yelling. I'm like, stop yelling. Like,
yeah, that's the character, unfortunately.
I know, and I was yelling at the TV to tell him to stop yelling. And my husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, he's too loud. I've turned into like an old lady. I'm like, he's too loud.
Can you turn the volume down?
Yeah. Stop yelling at Dottie.
Although Donnie is annoying too, because he's. So...
Oh, I thought he was kind of cute. I was like, oh, little Donnie in the background there.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing Steve Buscemi as that character after he is probably one of the most ruthless villains in Fargo. But that's I'll digress on that one. Performances are fine, I guess. Nothing.
So, who stood out to you the most? Like, who did you like the most in the film for performances? Because there's a couple that I like better than some of the main characters. I really actually liked Julianne Moore's performance. I thought she wasn't too bad. And then Hoffman.
No, Philip Seymour Hoffman? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
They're fine. They're fine.
Like, I thought they were like, I don't know. I thought they were good, like,
well, they're
supporting characters, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they're good. They're good at playing broad characterizations. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman is the kiss-ass assistant to the rich guy, and he plays that really.
He does that really well. Like I just thought, you know, I thought he brought some good sarcastic humor to it. So.
Yeah. And I really like Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's so tragic that he died so soon. But
yeah, my husband really liked him in this movie too. He thought he was hilarious.
And then I think Julianne Moore is a fantastic actress. I love her in most of the movies she's in. Mm-hmm. She's okay in this, but then again, what are you given? What is she given in this movie?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, for what she was given, I thought she did pretty good. I mean, I don't know.
Like, all these characters are pretty broad, but the situations that they're in are supposed to really be the fulcrum of what makes the movie interesting, what makes the movie as watchable as it is, the absurd situations that happen throughout. It's odd because Walter, I think, is the character in the movie that really drives the plot. Like, the dude is just the dude. He just is meandering throughout the entire movie, doing whatever.
Just floating through life.
Right, but it's Walter who pretty much drives the plot. Because of that, and because I just don't like Walter, it's kind of hard for me to really enjoy the film. When you have that type of character, I think
annoying.
But annoying is his character. But him being annoying, but he has to also be funny and kind of charming. He has to be annoying to the... Okay, I think I get what you're saying. He's got to be annoying to the main character, not to you. But he is...
Right, exactly.
Right. But he is incredibly annoying in this movie.
Oh my God. I'm like, shut it off.
See, I understand that. When Walter has the best lines of the movie, it's kind of like, ugh. It's like, well, okay, there's some dude-isms, as people say, that Jeff Bridges says throughout the movie, which, okay, fine. Really, Walter is the character that moves the plot. He's the one that causes things to happen in this, whereas the dude, again,
he just goes along with whatever they say.
Right.
Like, okay.
I'm not going to say I don't understand why people love this movie. I definitely do. It's that weird humor that the Coen Brothers have, plus... And these are good performances. These are good actors putting in good performances. But again, I do have to agree that since Walter is the character that drives the plot, it's kind of hard to really enjoy this. Really, because when it...
I agree with you. Like, it's like a 5-star cast, but it's like, it doesn't make for a good movie when he's driving it at all.
I think John Goodman and Jeff Bridges are the best performances. And I know people are going to disagree with both of us, but I think John Goodman makes the most out of a bad character in this. I think that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I agree with you there.
I mean, let's get into writing. I like how the plot is. Like, I like how they structured the plot, basically, that the dude basically is accidentally put into this whole thing, and due to his inaction is when everything starts to spiral to a certain extent, even though he really has nothing to do with any of this to a certain extent. And I like that type of...
the plot is definitely... It flows well for the humor that they're trying to portray.
With the way that the crime picture and stuff, if it was a straight crime picture like that, with a different sense of humor, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But it is the sense of humor, and I guess it is stoner sense of humor, I guess, that kind of didn't really click with me all
110%.
Yeah. There are some funny bits to the movie. I mean, like I said, I did enjoy myself to a certain extent.
But remember, my husband he does not partake either, and he really likes the movie. So
right.
There's that.
Right. There's a specific movie that I think is a stoner movie that I absolutely love, that this reminded me a lot of, but in a different way, called Inherent Vice. And it was a film directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. It starred Joaquin Phoenix and a big cast of people.
I love him.
Yeah. That is a really good movie, and that movie goes places. But I thought that was a much more entertaining and funnier film than The Big Lebowski was. And I think that movie does this a lot better than this. So,
yeah, I haven't seen the other movie, so I'll have to check that out.
But in regards to the crime and the way the crime is and how that is paced out, I like that part. The humor is what turns me off. Well, not completely, but the humor, I think, doesn't land as well with me as I think it does with most. And I think you agree, right?
Yeah, you gotta be, I mean, personally to me, I think, stoners would enjoy this movie a lot more.
Or people who are married to you.
Yep, or people that are married to me just happen to love it.
I like the direction in this. I actually do like the way that the film is directed. It's the way it's shot. I definitely like the dream sequence that happens towards the end of the movie that I thought was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I liked that too.
Yeah.
I thought it was shot really well. Like I'm not having any issues with that at all.
I want to point out one thing that I really like about this movie, and it's the music. There's a music supervisor in this called T-Bone Burnett. I think he was a musician before, but he gets consulted in a lot of these movies now. A lot of famous directors want to work with him to get their music right, and he does a fantastic job every time he does it. And he supervised the music in this movie. And the selections that they've come with this movie are excellent. Like every dream sequence, every thing that they do in the movie, especially the two dream sequences they have where the dude gets swallowed by a bowling ball, or the sequence towards the end of the movie, are really good. I mean, really good. Like I still have songs in my head throughout the entire movie right now as I'm thinking about it. Like the music is excellent. And they're mostly covers, too, which is really hard to do. Because if they're covers and people recognize the songs, they cheapened out and they got the cover? That sucks. But the covers work really well. Like, My Condition. Like, that song is a great song, but the cover they did of it was really good.
I'll be honest, the music didn't stand out to me, but I could see how each song did go with the scenes pretty well.
I guess we're kind of done with this. You want to go into spoilers?
Sure.
All right. I think Kim took.
Can everybody tell that I just loved this movie?
I think you're stoned, to be absolutely honest. You're just not telling me.
I'm not. I'm really not. I truly am not. Yeah. I only do that occasionally when a movie kind of sucks, and then I have to just get through it.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. So wait a minute. You got stoned during Field of Dreams?
No. I did not.
What is the voice saying, man?
Oh, God. This movie is like...
Go the distance, bro!
No, because I did not get stoned during that movie because I was still trying to figure it out and I was overthinking it. So I was like, I can't. I have to be sober for this.
Okay. All right, let's get into spoilers for The Big Lebowski. If you have not seen it, if you're one of the few who haven't, you can come back. You can pause, come back when you're ready. We're going to spoilers for The Big Lebowski in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think it's pretty humorous the way that they started the movie off with him wanting to get a replacement rug. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, is this really how this movie's starting? Like, that part was pretty funny, like just the writing in that. But I don't know. It's just like...
No, the absurdity of the plot, which you're right, it is basically he wants to get a new rug, and I guess in his mind
he gets roped into all this other shit that has nothing to do with him.
Yeah, but because the people think that he is the rich Lebowski, and he's not, he feels that the rich Lebowski is the person that should compensate for the rug getting peed on.
Right.
Which, I guess in a roundabout way, I kind of understand, but I'm like, okay, sure. But yeah, I definitely found that absurdness funny. like I said in the review, the plot I like. The execution with the humor is where I kind of, I'm kind of wishy-washy with. The film, for a bunch of slackers, is surprisingly vulgar. Vulgarity doesn't bother me. Like, you know me more than anybody. Vulgarity doesn't bother me.
Right.
But with these characters, it felt kind of weird. Not for Walter. Like, if it was just Walter, I'd be like, yeah, okay, it's Walter. Whatever, I get it. But, like, when the dude is saying stuff like they're pretty vulgar and stuff like that, or, like, random characters, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, it didn't really fit them.
Not really. No, like, these are supposed to be pretty carefree, except for Walter, who the fuck cares? Just who cares, man?
Right.
That I just was like, that doesn't really fit. to me at least.
I really wish that they had more of the Jesus character in the movie, because I just like look at him and laugh.
Yeah? Well,
like, he's so funny looking. With the purple outfit, and he's got like the little pinky nail, like.
Yeah.
What?
Well, if you like the character that much, they did a spin-off of this movie with that character specifically.
Oh, they did?
It's called The Jesus Rolls, I think it's called.
Oh, jeez. Have you seen it?
I have not, because I'm not, like I said, I was never really a fan. But on top of that, the Coen Brothers didn't make this. The Coen Brothers don't really like to do sequels, but John Turturro directed the film.
I think he's a riot.
Yeah. But let me ask you something. Can you watch that character for an hour and 30 minutes?
I don't know. It depends on what he's doing. Now I kind of want to watch this.
Okay. I believe it's on Netflix. Yeah. And,
oh, it has a really low rating.
Oh, yes, it does. It did not do very well.
Probably sucks.
It's from a Coen Brothers character, and
right.
I think what happened is that either as a favor, or maybe they bought the character specifically, that they just made their own movie with that character, which, to me, it's like, I don't know how you can make a movie about that character when, one, it's been confirmed that he is like the character said, he's a pederast, which I think the crime that he did was he exposed himself to children. And
that's disgusting.
Yeah. And that the little that you know about him is that he licks his bowling balls and he's very sexual.
Yeah, he like licks the ball. That's so gross.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But yeah, okay, fine. We'll see about that. Like, I like the absurdity of the characters. I like the broadness of it, and I really wish the plot, like, the plot itself is just enough for me to like the movie at this point. But yeah, the humor does nothing for me, to me at least. Like, with a couple of exceptions, the humor of the movie just doesn't land as strongly as I would like.
Yeah, like I said, like, if Walter wasn't so annoying, and like if he said like "shut up, Donnie," or what does he say? "Shut up, Donnie." Is that what he says?
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Shut the fuck. If he said that one more time, I was literally gonna like throw the remote at the TV. I was like, "This is awful. Like, stop." Just obnoxious. Like, if he like toned it down a little bit and was like a little bit more, like you said, a little bit more charming, maybe even like throw some sarcasm in there. Like, yeah. I feel like I would have really liked the movie and enjoyed it.
See, I think that type of character that Walter needs a lot more depth for you to understand and to sympathize why he is that way. But because the character is so damn broad and has no depth to it, you just have to rely on the people saying, "Oh, it's funny that he's telling Donnie to shut the fuck up. Oh my god. Oh, it's funny that he pulled the gun out on that guy. Oh, Walter, that silly son of a gun." It's like, to me, I'm generalizing.
Who cares?
I'm going to generalize a little bit, but to me, people who find somebody like that funny are people who I'm like, yeah, I better stay the fuck away from you. Because if you find that funny, like, I appreciate absurdist humor. I also appreciate mean humor a little bit. But there is mean and there's abusive. And Walter comes off more abusive than anything else.
Yeah.
Not only to Donnie, but to, like, the dude as well. Even though that's part of the dude's ethos, just let it be and be like, whatever, what happens, happens. Mm-hmm. Kind of makes me not want to root for or want to know what goes on with the dude that much. Because you know that whatever he does won't matter. It's what Walter does matters. And since I don't like Walter too much, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I guess I'm gonna see the dude meander around until Walter does something stupid. So
right.
Yeah, but I usually am a fan of absurdist humor, but like the humor of this movie for the most part just doesn't click with me entirely.
Yeah,
but the crime element, the plot, I think is a lot more interesting. I think it's a lot less credit because a lot of people, when they they talk about the movie, they quote it, they say how funny it is, how visually interesting it is. I'm like looking at this, no, the plot's really good here. I just wish there was a lot better going on around this than there is. So
yeah, I agree with you. Like, I don't know. I think the plot is good too. Like, it's interesting. Like, that kind of kept my interest, and I was just pretty bored.
Right.
I was like almost dreading doing this review because I felt bad because I was like, I was just really disinterested in like the movie until I like took some gummies and I was just like, all right, this is kind of funny. Okay, I can get with this a little bit. And then the movie was over and I was just like, well, that's like what, an hour and a half of my life I'll never get back.
So what made you want to watch this in the first place? Was it just because your husband liked it?
Because my husband, yeah. And, you know, I just wanted to give it like a shot because I hadn't seen the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, well, you know, I had started it and then I shut it off because I was bored. But I was like, oh, maybe like there's something I'm missing, you know, like maybe the ending or maybe the middle or whatever. So it's like, okay, I'll give this another chance. And I was like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch the whole film. And then I'm going to make sure I do so I can just give it a chance. And I wish I didn't.
And you're like, I'm going to blame Wiz because I have to do this stupid podcast.
I'm like, this movie sucks.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I went from like not liking this movie to then saying, okay, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, there are things I like about this movie. But I will gauge that on, I had the expectations that it's going to be a lot like Fargo, which it really is not. But on the other hand, like, there's really, with spoilers, like, that's the other thing, too. Like, we could talk to people who are fans of this movie, and they'll go on and on about certain scenes and certain aspects of the movie. And I think their spoiler versions will be about an hour and a half long. I guess with me specifically, I'm like...
Like, I got nothing. Like, I'm like, ugh, I don't know. It's terrible. Like, I'm just kind of like, maybe we should have put my husband on this one.
How argumentative is he, Kim?
He can be for this movie.
Oh, boy. Maybe not the best idea to introduce us.
When he's passionate about something, he can be.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It was what it was. And, like, you know, if he ever turns it on again, like, I won't be watching it. I'll be like, all right, I'm going to go in the other room or something. It's just boring. Yeah.
So, what'd you think about Donnie dying in the end?
I thought that was a good move on their part in a way, because it just shows like the love that they really actually did have for him. He was in their little club, you know, like, I don't know. I liked that they did that.
Did it though? I mean, I look at that end scene where they're spreading his ashes out of the coffee tin.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was pretty funny.
And then Walter goes on his diatribe about Vietnam.
And he's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. To me, it was like, I don't think they cared about him all that much.
No, but you know what? I think it's because, I think that's why maybe I liked it. Like, they cared enough to make it humorous. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of pointless. Like, I was like, why? I was like, why are you killing Donnie?
But maybe they needed something in there for, like, the crime aspect. I don't know.
Well, the crime ends with either, I think it was the dude, or what Walter said in the middle of the movie was basically that Bunny made up the entire kidnapping plot.
Yeah.
Which, like, at first when you hear that, you go, that might be the characters saying to themselves, yeah, it's okay if we just keep the money. Because odds are that's what's going on.
Right.
But again, I guess that's the thing that's about the plot is it then just confirms that they literally had nothing to do with the crime and what was going on. And to that self, that's interesting. But then if that's the case, what has to be interesting is what's going on with those characters And it really isn't. It really isn't that interesting. It is funny that the film that's the most interesting is the part where the main characters really have no say in what happens, or change nothing as to what's going on.
I could see that. Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. That only takes a movie so far unless these characters are really good, which I don't think they are. I think they're too broad to be that interesting to a certain extent. And then what I found funny about this specifically, I think we'll end on this. What I found funny specifically is people who are obsessed with this movie who love the dude. And say, oh, he's so wise. He says all these interesting things. I don't know if you've noticed, but all the interesting things that he says in the movie are said by other characters first.
Yeah, he's repeating them because he's a stoner.
Yes. Right. Right. So when people like say, "Oh, like there's," it's
just the way he says it, and that's what attracts people to him.
True. So that's where I was like, "Oh, wow! This like to me, this was like a real nothing character. Like this character is like a blank slate all around in this, which could have been interesting, but then." You surround himself with these other characters that themselves are not really that interesting, and then you kind of have
a big, boring movie.
Okay. All right. You want to get into final thoughts?
Sure.
Okay, Kim, let loose. Go ahead.
Okay, so I give this a 2 out of 5 stars. And the only reason I was nice and I didn't give it a 1 star is because there are some humorous moments in the movie that I did enjoy. Like just the look of Jesus. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I thought his character and the way he played that character was pretty funny. As well as, you know, there were a few scenes that I found humorous here and there with the dude as well. Other than some of the humor I kind of gripped onto and held for dear life. The plot was good. I liked the plot. I don't know. I just hate Walter. Like, he's just so loud and obnoxious, and it's too much. Like, you gotta reel him in. And like you said, you need to make him a little bit more charming with a little bit more depth. And I think that really would have helped the movie. So overall, 2 out of 5. I was very, very bored with the movie until I partaked in some adult gummies.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I was like, all right, this could be funny, whatever. But yeah, so those are my final thoughts. I will never watch this movie again.
Okay, so when I put the rating on the YouTube thing, I'll put 2 stars while stoned halfway through.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Okay, your rating is what I originally gave it back in when I saw it in high school. I'm gonna bump it to 3 stars. And, well, I do like the crime aspect. I like the interesting way the plot moves, and I wasn't bored by it. I just didn't find it that funny. But when the plot was moving, I was definitely interested, and I enjoyed that aspect. I think the humor is off. I think it just doesn't fit. But in this situation where it comes to like the crime elements and the way the film is shot, and especially the dream sequences are pretty good. And I love the music too. So like, it's funny, the intangibles, the things that I think that are the things that are supposed to supplement the humor, I find good enough to enjoy the movie. But the main thing about the movie, the humor, is what I find to be the thing that's off. That I just don't like.
Think that was my problem too. Like, I was just expecting it to be mainly about the humor, because going into watching the film, because I knew it was a comedy. Yeah, I was like, okay, and then I'm just like, oh, this isn't really that funny.
But it's also a particular sense of humor as well. Right. I'm not a fan of a lot of the Coen Brothers comedies. Like I said, I prefer their dramas with their black comedy seeped in. They do have some decent comedies that they have made. Another one's Raising Arizona. I liked Intolerable Cruelty, even though Coen Brothers fans thought it was a little too Hollywood. But I did enjoy that, at least.
I haven't seen that one. It's
not bad. It really isn't. But but with that in mind, like, I ended up going from not liking it to tacitly liking it, and saying, okay, it's good, but the main thing that I think people gravitate towards it is the thing I just don't like about it, which I find funny,
right,
which I find hilarious to a certain extent. So, yeah, 3 stars for me, 2 stars for Kim while she was stoned halfway through. So that
Bravo.
interesting. I will say this, Kim. One thing, if you didn't like this movie, I think you should give Inherent Vice a chance. Because I think Inherent Vice, it is a much longer movie. Let me just say that right off the rip. It is a much longer movie, but it's directed very well, and Joaquin Phoenix does a really good job in that movie.
I do like him as an actor.
Oh, so. I do too. I think he's great. Okay, so we're going to get into the movie we're watching next. Kim begged me to pick a movie that is good, which, no pressure, I guess.
I was looking back at our last few podcasts and reviews, and I was just like, wow, a lot of these movies kind of sucked. Like, we gotta find something really good.
Yeah, I mean, still, I was like, can we just watch something good? I'm like, what's good to you? Okay.
I was like, oh, we'll switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So we're gonna go a little, I guess, safe is where I will call this.
That's a great word for that.
We're gonna watch a movie called Always Be My Maybe. And I honestly haven't heard of this movie until you and Zero asked me to just make a list of movies to put up that we can all select, which you guys then are probably regretting right now because the list that I have is enormous.
Yeah, how many pages is it?
It's now 31, and it's probably going to rise. It's going to rise because we're going to do something for June for LGBTQ month. We're going to do... I got a bunch of other types of movies that I want to put in the list as well that I think we should think about as well.
Okay.
It's not going to end. It's just not going to end.
That's good, though. I mean, hopefully none of us die anytime soon, so we can get through this list.
Oh, if anyone's going to die first, it's probably me. Let's
oh my God.
Let's just be fair here. But yeah, so we're going to watch Always Be My Maybe, a film starring Ali Wong and Randall Park. Directed by, if I butcher this name, I'm sorry. Directed by Nahnatchka Khan. I think I got that.
I think you did really well.
I think I got that. Because it reminds me of the movie Ninotchka. So I was like, Nahnatchka. So that might be. Of course, someone's going to say, actually, the N is silent and the T you don't say. I'm like, oh, fuck. But,
you're like, I tried my best.
Yeah, I'm white and from New Jersey. Give me a break, okay? God.
Exactly. No, anyway. I'm excited to watch this because, I didn't even get to see, the cover for the film or anything like that. I just picked it out of the list because I was like, oh, that looks like a fun title. And I was like, let's do a romantic comedy. Let's just switch it up a little bit.
Okay, so we're going to watch the romantic comedy Always Be My Maybe, directed by Nahnatchka Khan. That is only streaming on Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive. So if you are interested in watching it, that is where you're going to have to watch it. So bear that in mind. Again, if you have titles or anything that you guys want us to watch, especially with Pride Month coming next month, so if there's a certain one that you want us to check out, let us know in the comments section or email us at zerowizcast@gmail.com. Kim, of course, you can suggest things too, but, whatever. I don't know. Just put all the pressure on me, Kim.
It's fine. I will. Yeah, You made a nice list, though. We'll keep using that nice long list of yours.
Well, to be fair, I know the first 20 pages are probably going to be something you're not going to touch. So,
yeah.
So anyway, okay. So that is it for this episode of Capital Games Movie Club. Tune in next time where we review Always Be My Maybe. I am the Wiz,
and I'm Kim Jackman.
We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.